Well, welcome back. You're watching Midcap Radar. We do have the HINDALCO numbers which will be out on your screen anytime soon. So it has been uploaded onto the exchanges. We're just waiting by for that. But in the meantime, we do have the Whirlpool numbers also which are on the screen. So 7% hike in terms of the net profit is what they've delivered at around just about shy of around 79 odd crores. But HINDALCO is the big stock in focus at this point. And we do have Nigel with us. So maybe he can just, we've got the numbers now. Net profit has come in at 725 crores. This includes Utkal. This is versus 470 crores year on year. Nigel, tell us what were your expectations and how does this stack up?
You know, in terms of expectations, normally what happens with regard to HINDALCO is the net profit number is separate. And we have Utkal's numbers that are separate. So, just try to equate that. We don't really have a poll for this number as of now. So, we're comparing it on a year-on-year basis. But for Utkal, you're looking at, a profit of anything between 450, 470 crores approximately. So, if you adjust that number, then in fact, you could get a sense we were expecting a net profit number far lower than that because the poll obviously did include this number. So just to give you that number, we were working with a net profit of around 330 crores approximately. So 450 crores approximately will be because of Utkal. The other big numbers we're looking at is the aluminium business. So that's pretty important.
Maybe
so we should get
share some details with you from the press release. The EBITDA they've said is up 5% to 1,922 crores for HINDALCO standalone plus Utkal. And HINDALCO standalone plus Utkal net debt to EBITDA improves to 2.547 times as on September 30th versus 2.67 times on March 30th. So that's another piece of information.
I also have the segmental breakup on the EBITDA level. Aluminum has done 1,204 odd crores, which compares with 1,500 odd crores on a
EBITDA basis. That's on the EBITDA.
No, hang on. Sorry, my mistake. They've done 1,364 odd crores in Q2 of FY19, which compares with 1,531 crores on a Y-on-Y basis.
So Mera, you're looking at the EBITDA line. The EBITDA, the aluminium EBITDA has come in at 1,204 crores. The revenue breakup is not given up.
18.
So the revenue breakup is not given out. Aluminium EBITDA
just a minute. We are looking at the number. It's around 1,364 crores. I think that's the number that we should be looking at. 1,364 crores. That's a little bit better than what we were working with. It's really at the higher end of what the street was working with. And even in terms of the copper business, so if I'm reading this number right, it's at around 388 crores. That's much better than what we were working with. The range really was around 280 crores to around 360 crores at most. So that copper number as well looks better. So safe to say that the operational performance actually is better. We'll try to pull out the aluminium number because the combined number that you all gave me around 1,900 crores, I think. So that's
aluminum revenue for Q2 is at 6,135 crores. Which compares with 5,218 crores on a Y-on-Y basis.
All right.
So 6,135 is the number.
The EBITDA is up 13% to 1,364 compares to 1,204 crores in Q2. That's the aluminium EBITDA that we're talking about, which includes Utkal.
Okay, so just to take you through the numbers, the key numbers that we're looking at out here is the aluminium EBITDA, which they've given. That's including the Utkal aluminum business. So that's coming at 1,364 crores. That actually is looking a little bit better. Not just that, even the copper number that we have, 388 crores. If there is no one-offs, on both these two divisions, it beats estimates. Only thing you need to remember, the stock has moved from around 219 rupees just yesterday or day before to around 237 rupees. So these numbers look more or less better. We have Mr. Sanjeev Bhasin who joins us. Sanjeev, what are you making of these numbers? It appears that on the operational front, it's a bit of a beat.
Correct, and I think the margins are slightly much more than what we had anticipated, at least 150 basis points. So it's a positive guidance. I'll have to wait what the Novelis numbers have done because that is where there may have been more accretion because of the Canadian dollar and so on. But on a relative basis, I think definitely...
Sanjeev, actually, this morning we had the Novelis numbers that already came out. So that's already baked into the price. And that was a little bit better than what the street was working with. Now, the key numbers we're looking at is the aluminium business. That's a standalone aluminium plus the alumina business, that number has come in at around 1,364 crores. So that's a little bit better than what we were working with. The street was working with anything between 1,200 to 1,300 crores or 1,300 crores or thereabouts. That was the number that you're looking at. Not just that, the copper business, in the month of July, they had a shutdown for around 28 days odd. And in spite of that, they've given an EBITDA number of around 388 crores. So both these two numbers, don't they look better than what the street was working with?
Yeah, definitely. I think they are much ahead of what the street was making, and there was a lot of pessimism, but I think that has already got cleared. That is more to do with the Vedanta numbers. I think the numbers are definitely a beat, and like we've said, the Trump protectionism has definitely spurred a huge rally in both the ferrous and non-ferrous side, and we think copper is going to be an outperformer going into the next few quarters.
All right.
Overall, all right, Sanjeev, thanks very much for joining in with that quick take. But Nigel, just wanted your thoughts. Now that we have Novelis's numbers, which came out earlier in the day, and we saw the stock rally, it was a little better than what the street was anticipating. Yeah. And along with this standalone performance, along with Utkal, what is the consolidated performance for HINDALCO this time round, including Novelis?
Well, Novelis accounts for nearly around 60% odd of the EBITDA. So Novelis is, is more important than these numbers actually, and we already had the more important part of the numbers. And as the numbers that we had, as we told you all earlier this morning as well, that was a beat on the operational front. Maybe volumes are not that great, but otherwise it appears that the mix was better. So Novelis goes down at a beat on the back of a better operational performance. So Novelis we keep aside. That came out a couple of hours ago. Now we're looking at HINDALCO, alumina, aluminum as well as copper. We're looking at the alumina plus aluminum business together. So the rough estimate on the street was around 1,300 crores odd. That's come in closer to more than 1,350 crores. So that number goes down as a beat. So tick mark going to the aluminum business. That's aluminum is including aluminum plus the alumina business. And the copper business, that in fact has come in at around 390 crores. So that goes down as well as the beat because the highest estimate on the street was around 360 crores. So tick, tick, tick. Novelis beats, aluminum beats, and copper beats as well.
Oh, okay.
All right, so that's looking good. Just some more details coming through from their investor press release. They have prepaid the long-term loan of about 1575 crore as well in October. And other than that, so net debt to EBITDA has improved to 2.47. Prakash Diwan is also joining in. Hi, Prakash. Have you had a chance to go through the early numbers? In any case, you had Novelis. So what are you making of HINDALCO's earnings?
Sumera, I'm so sorry, but you'll have to run me through the headline numbers at least once I just got
give a couple of numbers out more. The copper business actually is looking good. What they've said is the share of the value-added products, that's moved to around 70%, and just a year ago it was at around 43%. So that explains why, in fact, the copper business, in spite of the fact that we were expecting only around 323-30 crores, or it's coming around 390 crores, this could be one of the reasons. Prakash should run you through the numbers. Novelis' numbers we already had. The aluminium business, the rough estimate on the street was around 1,250-1,300 crores approximately. It's coming at more than 1,350 crores. And secondly, the copper business that we were working with a number of around 330-350 crores approximately, that's coming at 388 crores. So your take on the numbers on the whole, it appears it's a bit of a beat.
No, so definitely it is a beat, and there were concerns. There were concerns that, given the kind of we had on the raw material side for alumina itself, there could have been some sort of a pressure on margins and growth. But what they seem to have compensated with on the higher side is the value addition on copper, as you rightly said. And, remember, copper is an area where every time it is benign, when the base metal is benign, you have a higher potential for the value additions, and that's what seems to have worked in their favor. So pretty decent numbers. I'm sure the market's not going to be disappointed.
All right, Prakash, thanks very much for that. Nigel, any last words to wrap it up?
Beat. Or, I mean, it appears it's a beat, right? If we have three segments and all three of them beat what we were working with, then it goes down as a beat. If there's no one-off, then this definitely goes down as a beat.
Okay, just some more color on the outlook. They expect the global demand to grow by 4% in CY18. The domestic demand has already grown by 16% in Q2, and they expect the increase in input costs to adversely impact the cost of production. So that's on HINDALCO. So far looking good. The stock up 2.5%. Nigel, thanks very much for that. We'll take a quick break. Be back with more in a bit.
point out that Newland Laboratories also came out with its numbers just a couple of minutes ago. And it's a revenue growth of around 30-odd%, which they've reported. And it's a profit growth of 83% that they've reported this quarter. So Newland Laboratories should be the one which should come up for you as well. But let's talk about a couple of banks then. Dhanlaxmi Bank came out with numbers just a few minutes back. And it is a provision right back which has actually aided them this quarter. So we have with us the management of the company joining in. We have Mr. T. Lata, the MD, we have T. Lata, the MD and CEO of the company, who joins in on the line. Ms. Lata, hi, thanks very much for joining in. If you could just start by telling us what exactly the asset quality looked like for you all this quarter. There was an improvement on a Q-on-Q basis?
Yes, ma'am. If you see that asset quality is improved, it was 8.94 in the quarter June, and we have come down to 7.8% for gross NPAs. And our net NPA from 3.79% has come to 2.92%. Overall, there is an actual decrease also of nearly 50 crores.
Okay, can you tell us what exactly the slippages were? How much was probably from a watch list that you had? How much was from outside the watch list?
Yeah, if you see, our total slippages in this quarter were less than 20 crores.
Okay.
And only 2 accounts of 1 crore and above had slipped.
Ms. Lata, good afternoon. Wanted to just understand why this loss on the other income of about 18 odd crores, which has actually led to your operating profit loss as well?
Yeah, madam, it was because we had sold some of our treasury investments, which are not yielding good results for us. And that is the reason why we had to book it to our loss. And that is why, if you see, the operating profit has come down, but there is an increase in our net profit by 100% year on year.
What's your net interest margin?
Our net interest margin is approximately I'll just tell you the exact number.
And also the comparable, ma'am, please.
Comparable with what, ma'am?
In the previous quarter. Your NIMs this quarter versus Q1 as well.
Okay, I'll just tell you that. Because basically it has been more or less the same, my net interest margin, but I'll just tell you.
Sure.
Yeah, see, my net interest margin for the quarter ended June was 2.74 and now it is 2.84.
Okay. What is your cost of funds looking like now, say for this quarter?
My cost of funds has come down from 5.78 to 5.73.
Okay. Your slippage guidance, can you leave us with some asset quality guidance? What can we expect, say, in the coming quarters? I mean, the slippage of 20 odd crores, what does it compare with last quarter? And what can we expect in terms of the next 2 quarters?
See, last quarter we had a fresh slippage of nearly 80 crores.
Okay. So that's a significant reduction. Are you expecting it to probably improve going forward?
Yes, definitely, ma'am. We are expecting that the major slippages have been highly controlled. And going forward, we should be having some good recoveries for which we are already on the job.
Okay. So it should be within 20 crores? Per quarter?
It's very difficult to give a number because, but I'm quite confident the overall will be, the recoveries will be more than the slippages.
Okay.
All right, Ms. Lata, we'll leave it at that. Thanks very much for joining in to Dhanlaxmi Bank. We have lots more numbers actually coming through. We also had numbers coming in from Whirlpool. All of that is lined up after a very quick break. Do stay tuned.